Hi everyone, happy November. So I'm sharing a tarot reading that I did. And I did this reading actually yesterday on Halloween, October 31st. Kind of risky. You're not supposed to do like readings or channelings or anything on Halloween. As they say, the veil is very thin. Um, funny story about a dream that I had though the night before. So in my dream, someone was handing me like all of my like tarot and oracle card decks, and then on top of it was like a stack of condoms. And I was like, what is this doing here? Why is there a whole bunch of condoms on my card decks? And then I woke up in the morning and I was thinking about it, and I was like thinking about the symbology, or this, how symbolic, that's what I'm trying to say, how symbolic, the condoms are, because what do? They protect. And essentially it was spirit was trying to tell me like, yes, you should do this reading, because I've been feeling for like the last week that I needed to do this reading on Halloween. But I was like, this, I shouldn't do that, right? You shouldn't do readings. You shouldn't channel or anything. But they were letting me know, yes, do it. Here's the cards, and also, boom, you're going to get extra protection. And it was a lot of condoms, so I must have had a lot of protection. Okay, so I don't know, funny story. I know it's a little strange, but I just thought it was really hilarious. So, but yeah, I've never really talked about the fact that I do tarot readings. I haven't done them for anyone but for me. So this is kind of new, but I really thought that this is something that I need to share, mainly because I looked a little bit into the future. And let me just stop for a second and say that tarot is not really predictive. Okay, nobody can predict the future. What tarot does is it reads the energies as they currently are. And then it gives you an idea of, based on these current energies, what is the most likely outcome. Okay, it's not saying this is guaranteed to happen. If you go and get a tarot reading and someone says, yes, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen, they're full of shit. Okay, nobody can tell you exactly what's going to happen, but you can get you can get an idea. So that's what this reading did for, not just the upcoming election, which is in 2 days. Praise Jesus. Um, but also I looked a little bit into like the second half of this decade, the 2020s, to see, because I've been getting feelings about what we can expect, and it's actually really good energy. And I know that's probably surprising because this year has been such a shit show, but there is a reason for that. There's a reason for every season, and there's a lot of lessons for us to learn right now. And so the cards that I got for the second half, they're all major arcana cards, which that those cards are all, they're very like thematic. You know, the court cards and the lower cards, or the minor cards, they are more about like day-to-day life, whereas the major cards are looking at the bigger picture, and like these are the energies that are like going to be very pronounced at that time. So very interesting. And also, because it's further into the future, I'm not surprised that they're all major cards, because you can't get specific energies for things that are still way off into the future. But anyway, so I wanted to give you, we'll start with the reading that I did for the election, and then I'll get into the second half of this decade. Okay, so the way I did it is I started with just 3 cards, and the cards, the way I used them, was I put one card on the left, and that signified Joe Biden. And again, I'm just looking to get the energies around this person, okay? And then the card in the middle was the American people, because they're in the middle of these two deciding this election. And then the card on the right is Donald Trump. So here's what I got. Joe Biden. He is, can you see it? Sorry, the lighting is really bad. 6 of Pentacles. So if you see, I'll talk about the symbology of the card a little bit. there is a man, he's well dressed, and there's two like beggars at his feet, and he's giving them money. He's sharing his wealth with them. And you can also, it's hard to tell, but he's holding a scale, and the scale is perfectly balanced. So this card signifies generosity. It signifies giving and receiving, charity, bringing balance back to a situation. So what we see from Biden is that he does want to kind of bring balance back. He wants to, he says, I'm here to represent all people, not just those who support me, but everyone. And from what we know about him is that he is a very, very giving, generous man. So this makes a lot of sense to me. And I think that if he were to become president within time, we would start to see that energy coming back in of, kind of bringing balance back to the country. And then for the American people, I'll do the American people first before I get to Trump. I got the Two of Swords. So this makes complete and total sense. The Two of Swords, if you see, it's a woman. She is blindfolded. She has two swords and they're crossed in front of her. And what this signifies is that you have to make a very difficult decision. And you're not happy with each choice. Very, very true for how a lot of people feel about this election. We're not happy about the choices that we have, but we have to make a decision. Like, we have to decide. And the blindfold signifies that maybe this person, or just generally speaking, the American people feel like we don't have enough information yet. That to me says that that's talking about the undecided voters. They're still trying to figure out what is best for them. And maybe also that there is information there, but you're ignoring it. There's things that you don't want to acknowledge. So I do think that, much like in the last election, that those undecided voters are going to be critical in the outcome of this election. But from the card that I got for Trump, I do think that ultimately Biden will win. And the reason why is because this is the card I got for Trump. Sorry, the lighting is just really bad. I'm trying to get a good, okay, that's pretty good. So this is the Six of Swords. And what you see is there's a man, he's rowing a boat. There's a woman and a child sitting in the boat with him, and there's six swords at the front of the boat. They're very reluctantly leaving a situation, and they feel kind of defeated. They're sad. They don't want to go. Those six swords they signify like things that they still have not let, they just won't let them go quite yet. So I do feel that if Trump loses, which I do think that he is going to lose, and he's indicated that he's not going to leave peacefully, that he's going to throw up as much obstruction and he's going to throw a hissy fit, which he's prone to do. And his whole family, because we know his family is very involved in the White House, that they are all going to very reluctantly leave, and they're not going to want to let go of certain things. I also get this energy of, there's kind of fear, like, because they're embarking on a new journey, and this can be a good thing if you look at it that way, but they don't look at it that way, that they're scared about what could happen once they leave the White House. So if I had to guess, and this is something that I have been feeling for a while now, is that Donald Trump is going to lose, but he's going to put up a fit. So we'll see. Anything can happen. So I did pull some more cards on the American people because I wanted to get a little bit more information about kind of what to expect in the coming year or two. And the first card that I got was the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords represents a lot of new ideas. It's a lot of very kind of chaotic mental energy, but just really passionate, a lot of enthusiasm, wanting to put some new ideas into place. And I think that if there is a new administration and maybe even just a whole new Congress, we could see a full-on blue wave that you're going to see like Democrats just wanting to bring all of their ideas in. And um, what that could possibly do is one of the other cards I got, which was the Five of Swords here. And what this card means is you see there's a man, he's holding a sword and he's got two in his hand here. There's other people that are walking away and they put their swords down. And this man, it's kind of hard to tell, but he's kind of got a little smirk on his face. He's like smug about his victory. I don't really know if this is about Democrats or Republicans or both, but this is a card of winning at all costs. And you basically, it's almost like you're selling your soul to win. And okay, so at first you're happy about it, but then when you see how much destruction it's actually caused, you're just like, oh man, and maybe this wasn't as wonderful as I thought it was going to be. So it's a card that kind of points to our ego. It's telling us, to try to find common ground and to understand that, if we can't find a way to get along, to relate to each other, then we're never going to make any sort of progress. That if anything, it's just going to lead us to destruction. So this is like a card, it's like a warning card. Like, don't do whatever you possibly need to do to win. And I think that what we're seeing in that regard, we're certainly seeing from the Republicans now with voter suppression, that they are trying to win at all costs. But either way, it's just a warning. And I think that applies to all people, no matter what side of the political spectrum you subscribe to. I also got the Four of Cups, which, if you see, there's a man, he's sitting underneath of a tree. He's like sort of in meditation or contemplation. He's looking down. There's three cups in front of him, and then there's a fourth cup coming in. And it's like there's a cloud that's handing it to him, and that signifies the universe. So it's like the universe is trying to give you another opportunity. It's saying, there's an opportunity here, but this man is so like deep in his own thoughts that he's missing it. And it also could be a card of like stubbornness, like you don't want to take the opportunity because you feel like it's not what you want right now. But I think what this card is saying is that there are a lot of opportunities now for humanity as a whole to learn some really important lessons. And that's what these times are trying to teach us. They're showing us things that we need to acknowledge. And as much as Trump's presidency has been really difficult for a lot of people, and it's brought our country to a really bad place, it's not entirely his fault, because basically what this has done is it's shown that we were already in a bad place, okay? And there are issues that we have not acknowledged, that we've conveniently ignored. And his presidency has brought them to the surface. It's kind of shown this bright light on them. Things like racism and sexism, patriarchy, xenophobia, and he kind of represents the worst parts of humanity. And he's bringing that all out for us. And as painful as it is, it's necessary that we acknowledge these things. We acknowledge the depths of these issues, because healing cannot begin until we do that. That is critical, absolutely critical, that we are very, very honest about what needs to be healed and how bad the issue actually is. So there is value in that. And the Four of Cups, to me, that's what this is saying, is like, look, there's an opportunity. Even this pandemic. I mean, this pandemic, there's so many lessons for us to learn from this. How important it is that we take care of each other, how we rely on each other so as much as we do, even how we treat our planet. I mean, remember back when we first went into quarantine, and it's like the earth just like came alive, and very, very quickly, within just a few days of humanity retreating within, like there were dolphins swimming in canals in Venice, and I mean it was unbelievable. And the planet was like, she was just like breathing again, fully breathing again. And she was trying to tell us something. And we haven't learned that lesson. So, the lesson's going to keep showing up until we learn it. And every single time, it comes back, it's going to be even more harsh. So we've really got to make sure that we're paying attention and we're not just too focused on, what's right in front of us, but we also see what else is there, what other opportunities there are. And then the last cup that I got was, oh, sorry, card is the Queen of Swords. Trying to get this in a good place for you. There, that's better. Okay, so you see there's a queen sitting on her throne. She's holding her sword upright. She's got her hand extended. So the Queen of Swords, she's very intellectual. She doesn't use her intuition as much. Of the four queens, she's definitely the most like masculine. She uses that, the logic and the intellect a lot more than she does her intuitive abilities. She's also very no nonsense. Okay, like she doesn't have any time for, lies or fluff or anything. She doesn't want to hear about conspiracy theories. And I think that that's an indication of the fact that, but she does want to get to the truth of things. And I think that we're going to see that there is going to be a search for the truth. And that sort of masculine energy, but coming through a female representative is also really important, because women are really stepping into our power right now. And it's important that we find this balance between the masculine and the feminine, which, by the way, that's not gender. It's not about gender. Masculine and feminine are energies, and they are present. They're both present in both males and females. Women tend to have more feminine energy, whereas men tend to have more masculine energy, but we have both. And finding balance means that we use the energy that is most appropriate for that situation. So there are times when we need to use more masculine energy, when we need to act, when we need to be very dynamic, when we need to kind of really stand our ground and make sure that people aren't like taking advantage of us or something. That would be a situation where we need more masculine energy. The feminine is very receptive. It's nurturing. It's empathetic. It's about compassion, intuition. And it's important for women, as we do step into our power, that we use that masculine energy to help us get there, but we don't lose touch with the feminine, that we maintain that. That's really, really important, because women are going to birth this new world, and it's going to be, at least initially, led by women. It kind of needs to be. Sorry, guys. You haven't really done a great job. So the Queen of Swords, to me, signifies that women are going to continue to step into powerful roles, but it's also a warning to maintain that balance and to don't just, be too much into your masculine, to make sure that you keep your feminine energies, you use your intuition when you need to, that you remain compassionate and nurturing. But yes, intellect and logic are very important, so we can't lose sight of that either. So that's a good representation of what we're going to be seeing these next few years, like 2-3 years. All of these cards that I just went over are very strongly represented. So I think that we're already seeing this in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of warnings there for us, particularly that Four of Cups, like, don't miss out on these opportunities. The Five of Swords, don't get yourself in a position where you're just exacerbating this us versus them, this win at all costs, but at what cost? So try to look for common ground and continue to be inspired, Page of Swords, be inspired, implement new ideas, and maintain good energy and enthusiasm. You know, a lot of swords energy with these. And it's interesting because the swords in tarot, they represent the air signs in astrology. So the air signs are Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And we are about to enter the age of Aquarius. So it's pretty interesting that we've got all these swords cards, but some good things there. Definitely, I see a lot of positive in that. If you understand the messages that are coming from the cards, which hopefully I did a pretty good job of just explaining that. So again, my first video. Sorry guys, I know I might be a little, I might not make a whole lot of sense, but okay. So now I want to move into the second half of this decade. And again, these cards are all from the major arcana. And there's only one card here that I got as reversed. So reverse cards in tarot, the way I do them is I tap into my intuition. If I feel a card should be reversed, then I'll reverse it. A lot of tarot readers will just take part of the deck and turn it around and then just shuffle it. And so that way some cards are just randomly reversed. I don't like that because then it is completely random. And I don't really feel that that's an accurate way. Like, again, you know, we're using our intuition when we're reading these cards. It's not, so the cards have multiple meanings. So you really got to try to figure out exactly what meanings are most significant. And so the first card that I got is I actually felt immediately that it needed to be reversed. I'm going to show it to you in the upright position though, so I can explain the symbology on the card. But it's the Hierophant. There we go. So you see there's a man, he's like a religious leader. He's sitting kind of on a throne. He's got a crown on, and he's holding some sort of, over here, some sort of a, what is that? That's kind of like a, I don't know, sort of like a specter or something. And then there's two disciples at his feet, and they are obviously like followers of his. They're very devout followers. So this is a card about tradition, specifically like religious tradition. It's about dogma, about, you know, following a way of life, a belief system. And it's also kind of like giving your power away then, because you're saying that, you know, you're looking to something outside of you to make changes, and to you're basically giving all of your power to this person or this institution. In the reverse position, what we see is that instead of looking to something outside of you, you start to go within, and you want to start forging your own path. So you're starting to question everything that you've been taught. It's very much about like sort of bucking the status quo, and really digging for the truth, and pushing back against any sort of rigid dogmas or traditions. We've already been seeing this happening, I feel, particularly with millennials. Not only are millennials just not very religious, there's been a big like pushback against organized religion, but also just you know, bucking the status quo in general. And you hear a lot that millennials are ruining everything. You know, you hear, oh, millennials are ruining this, millennials are ruining that. Well, that's because we won't conform to the status quo. So we're ruining the old way of doing things because we've recognized that we're on an unsustainable path, and the way that we live is not very fair. It benefits extremely wealthy people. It benefits white people. It benefits men, particularly white, straight Christian men, at least in this country. And even just the way we treat each other, the way we treat our planet. I mean, there's this focus on short-term profit over people. I mean, I sound like Bernie Sanders right now, but it's true. It is very true. And that's the reason why millennials loved Bernie Sanders so much, because his message is it resonates with him. So with us, I'm a millennial. So, we've already been seeing this, but getting into the second half of this decade, and maybe it's because millennials are going to be in, a greater number are going to be in positions of power in government. And starting in the middle of the decade, the oldest millennials, people my age, we're going to be in our 40s then. So, we're going to be middle aged, and we're going to start really taking over things. And so I think that you're really going to start seeing on a much bigger scale this pushback against the old way of doing things and trying to find a new path, a new way forward. And that was very strongly correlated by the next card, which is the strength card. So you see the strength card here. Sorry, the lighting is so bad. I apologize. There's a woman, and she has tamed a lion. And you see she's very calm. She's looking down at the lion, and she's just very calm and serene. And you see there's an infinity symbol above her crown. And that symbolizes that we have this infinite inner strength, because this card is all about inner strength. And it is always there. It is always there for us to tap into this power that we have. But this card it reminds us to go within and to not doubt the strength that we have. And it is, it's about commitment and patience and dedication, and really like forging that new path. Okay, and believing that you can actually do this. You're learning to tame your instincts, your inner instincts, and sort of the egoic, part of you that wants to react to everything. Instead of just always reacting, you remain very calm, very centered, and you go within and you tap into that inner strength. And that's how you tame the lion. That's how you tame your wild emotional side. We all have emotions we're always going to, and it's totally normal, and it's okay to have an emotional reaction to something, but we need to learn how to better process our emotions. So that's what this card is telling us that we're going to continue to do as we move forward, is that humanity is going to start learning how to go within and to respond with love and kindness and compassion, as opposed to reacting like a lion, and just popping off. Because that's not helpful. That's not going to get us to a good place. So, and then the next card that I got, and this is getting into, I feel like the Hierophant reverse is like 2024, 2025, maybe going into 2026. And then 2026, 2027, that's when we're getting into that, tapping into that inner strength a little bit more. And then the Hermit, I feel, is like 2028 and 2029. And that's this next card, the Hermit. So you see, this is it's like an older man. And he's got a lantern. He's got a staff. He is headed on like a pilgrimage of sorts, okay? So this is a card that is all about like doing soul searching, some deep soul searching, and really doing like being very introspective, very meditative. And you are kind of, and you hear about, famous, religious like prophets and stuff. They would go on these pilgrimages and they would just be alone, and they would go within and they would really just do this like inner work, this like kind of shadow work, as what we call in the spiritual world, we call it shadow work. And this is a card of like sort of retreating and trying to find your center. And you're looking for a renewed motivation, because you understand that this is necessary, that you need to do this inner work in order to create a new way of being. And it just comes very naturally. Anyone who's done this shadow work, who has been through what we call in the spiritual world the dark night of the soul, knows that you just naturally know that this needs to happen. You just reach a point and you just want to do it. And it's like nothing is going to get in your way. You're going to do this inner work. Your soul knows that it needs it. And so humanity is getting to that point. All of this that has been happening is to push us to this evolution. And it reminds me of this quote by Eckhart Tolle, and he said, "Life will give you whatever circumstances are necessary for the evolution of your consciousness." So everything that's been happening, is to push us to do this work, to recognize our demons, to bring light to the darkness so we can acknowledge our issues and begin to heal them. And that does take tremendous inner strength, okay? And it does take bucking the status quo and questioning what you have been taught. All right, and it is going to take going within and doing a lot of inner work. And this is something that we will do individually. And as more of us do this, then the collective will then be affected by it. Because you are connected to everyone and everything at all times. So the more of us who do that inner work and who get to a better place, that we're more healed, we're living more joyfully, more authentically, that adds to the collective energy. And that brings me to the last card that I pulled. And I specifically said, show me 2030. Right before I pulled this card. This was like specifically for 2030. And it's amazing. It's just absolutely amazing how all of these cards work so beautifully together. The card that I got was the Star. Okay. There we go. That's pretty good. So you see, here's a woman. She is naked. And she has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on the land. And she has 2 pitchers. And they're both filled with water. And she's doing this underneath the stars, and she's very content, very comfortable out there in her birthday suit. And what the star represents is hope and faith and renewal. This woman, she is her authentic self. That's why she is naked. And she's done the inner work. She's now a more enlightened person. And the pictures that she has, it's basically showing that she has, this infinite abundance. The water, this kind of signifies life. Like we need water to live. We're mostly made of water, and it's equal. They're both, the pictures have water, and they're always going to have water. It's like she's taking from the water and giving to the land, but it's just like this cycle that doesn't end. And she is a woman who has a better understanding of who she is. This is a very spiritual card. It's a card about enlightenment. And stars are very powerful. So this is a person who has learned to tap into their inner power, to really fully tap into their inner power. And it's, coming to the point in your spiritual journey where you are ready for that renewal. You are ready to forge a new path and a completely new way of being. You've shed that old part of yourself. You're grateful for the experience, for everything that's taught you, but you've learned the lessons and you're now ready to move forward and to start a whole new path. And this is such a beautiful energy coming in, and this is exactly what I've been feeling for several years now, actually. And I actually wrote about this. I wrote a whole series of blog posts about how humanity is undergoing a spiritual awakening right now on a collective level. And by the end of this decade, things are going to be totally different. And the worst is happening right now, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. It's going to take a few years, but we are eventually going to get to that point. But this is kind of like an initiation process that we're in right now. It's difficult. This kind of work, it's the most challenging work that you'll ever go through in your life, but it's extremely rewarding. So that's where we are right now. Again, very encouraging. Quick recap for the election. I do feel Biden will win. Trump will throw a temper tantrum and very reluctantly leave. I do think it's going to be pretty chaotic initially, but it will calm down. I feel like next spring things are going to calm down. As far as the pandemic goes, I mean, we are hitting a bit of a second wave right now. I think it'll kind of stay high for the next, like, cases will remain a little bit higher for the next few months. I don't think it's going to get too bad, and I do feel by next spring that we're going to be pretty much past this. So, well, I mean, not completely, but it's going to be much better. But again, there are lessons, a lot of really important lessons that we need to learn right now, and I don't think that we're going to learn them, and that kind of scares me because I don't know what the universe will cook up next to kind of push us to get to where we need to be. But it does look like eventually we'll get there. So, and I do have faith. I do. I do believe that we will get there. Again, I've been feeling this for a while. So that's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing if you shared. And make sure you vote if you haven't already. And just above all else, please make sure that you love one another, because that is the only path to peace is through love. So that's the ultimate lesson. That's what we all came here to learn, is how to love each other again. And that's what will change the world. So be loving, be kind, be compassionate. Try to look past the ego in others. Try not to react too strongly from your ego. And we will create a new world. Okay? Thanks a lot, guys. Love you. Bye.